All right, let's get to it then. Welcome everybody. We are going to be going over 4th and 5th grade units of study writing modules. And I think from our perspective, as we were building these, we really were thinking we want this to be kind of an exemplar unit that both teaches the students how to access things within Canvas and builds on their skills, but then also to help you guys, guide you guys through potentially building your next units. So we have a lot to go over, and we're kind of stacked back to back to back with PDs for the rest of the afternoon. So I don't know if you want to add anything to that, Carrie, as we kind of get into it.
I say let's go.
Okay, so I'm Nicole Carter. I'm a part of the digital curriculum crew, and I'm joined by Carrie. Do you want to introduce yourself?
My name is Carrie Cooter. There I am, and I'm part of the digital curriculum crew as well. And Nicole and I, kind of the background on this, Nicole and I previously were working in an ELA capacity last year. And many of you know that we built writing supports. We built writing units for you that had everything linked. And as we moved to this summer, we were asked to develop the first ones, the unit number 1 for every grade level. And as we started building those and we created all the seesaw activities like we normally did, we thought, well, this is going to require more, right, for comprehensive distance learning. So we have developed a whole set of slides that you can utilize for teaching live on Zoom with your students that we have linked to the unit. And then we thought, well, our 4th and 5th grade teachers are going to need a Canvas unit as well. So that was the, we took that on saying, we'll do this. And then holy moly, it was a whole lot to do, all grade levels, all seesaw, all Canvas. So we finished this just recently, and we're really excited, and we hope that it saves you a ton of work. So
they probably don't need to know this, but it probably took each of us like 200 hours to build all units, all grade level units. So a lot of time and energy and effort and thought went through it, and we just wanted to make sure that you guys felt comfortable and successful implementing the units and knowing what was there, really. As we've talked about with PD on the patio, all of our stuff, all of our PD is in reference to buckets for CDL best practices. We really keep these in the back of our minds as we're developing the units, and just know that especially this particular definition, the humanized component and intentional design, was really thought out, especially this last weekend. We were literally on Zoom calls probably 8 hours a day, working through the schematics of why would we do this? What is the intentional reason behind why we would do a course discussion versus a peer review assignment versus just a basic assignment that's turned in only to the teacher. All of those are questions that we ask ourselves as we build all of this, and it definitely was with intention, right? Okay, and then of course the equity questions and lens too. I mean, we are really trying to provide a space where students know that their identity is heard, that they're collaborating with their peers, sharing with their peers, utilizing, you know, the peer back and forth with a writing partner and all of those kinds of pieces. So that is definitely a big part of the design of these units. Okay, so the plan for today, Carrie, do you want to do that while I'm kind of looking through the chat a little bit?
I want to. I was hoping. All right, what we're going to do today is we are going to have you hop in the course that we've built as if you were a student. So I think it always helps. When we were building it, we kept hopping from the student view saying, okay, now what would this look like from the kid's perspective? So we're going to hop in there. We're going to have you just do a super simple text activity really fast, just so you can then see on our end as the teacher how we are receiving that information, pretending that you have students. Then we're going to get you in there. We're going to make sure that in your course that you know how to access the module for your grade level. You get that added to your course, you publish it, and you can go about linking that, right? You have a home button, a linked home button there for writing, and then how you want to customize it. Like we set it up how we would, but that doesn't necessarily mean that that is how you would like to structure it. So it is free reign for you to go in and add to and modify the unit that we set up.
Perfect. Okay, so our first step is to get you into this course. So if you guys are following along with us, please go ahead and open up your web browser. Hopefully it's Chrome, but it could be anything. And go ahead and sign into Canvas for us. And I don't know if it's helpful, but I can go ahead and drop the link to get into Canvas there. It's in the chat if you want to use the chat to open up your browser. Okay, and then once you've got Canvas open, we're going to have you enroll in this course that we've built everything in. So it's important that you open Canvas first, just so that you're signed in. Otherwise, it'll send you to a weird login screen. Okay, so here is the enroll code for this course. It's now in the chat again. So again, enroll yourself as a student. And if you're on the slide deck, you can just click here on that button. So you should be seeing a screen that looks like that if you're working along with us. And then what you're gonna do is just say enroll in course. Can I have everyone, if you haven't opened up your participation screen, can you open up your participation screen and give me a yes or a thumbs up, or even in your reactions in Zoom, if you want to go ahead and give us a thumbs up that you're there, that you've enrolled. Good, thank you. Good, we're getting a yes from people, fantastic. So again, you've opened up Canvas, you've opened up that course to enroll yourself as a student. If you are enrolled as a student, if you hit that enroll course and you're in the course now, feel free to click around. So this looks very much like your shell that was pushed out to you. What we've done is we've gone ahead, and the only difference is, actually I'm in the wrong course, aren't I? I can tell because we had to give you a different button because we built both fourth and, just ignore the fact that I have so many courses. Because we built both fourth and fifth grade, we have given you an additional button down here. So if you are a fourth grade teacher, go ahead and find that fourth grade writing button and click on it for me. Yeah.
Really quickly, a number of people are struggling to get in. It's saying it's unpublished.
Ooh. Chris is going to say, rookie mistake.
I would never, ever say that.
And they're right.
Ever.
It isn't
I would
published.
never say that.
I know. Okay, I just published it.
But you know what? This
Go
is
ahead
a
and refresh.
perfect example of what teachers may want to be aware of when school starts, is to just make sure your courses are published when your students come back in.
I know you're saying, Nicole, you're scrolling too fast. Why did it not publish for me? Okay. There we go. If you refresh your web browser, it should be working for you. And I'm getting notifications that you are all enrolling. Okay, so once you've refreshed and you're in there, can you guys, if you're a fourth grade teacher, go down to the fourth grade writing button. And if you are a fifth grade teacher, go down to the fifth grade writing button again. And I'm seeing that people are saying it's working now. So give it just a minute and refresh if you have to. So there's your instructions one more time. We're gonna open up Canvas and sign in first. Then you're gonna go into the enroll as a student and hit that enroll in course in the corner. And if you did all those things already, but it's not showing up because I didn't publish it for you yet, just hit refresh. So Kyle, as we're kind of waiting for everybody to get in there, Kyle's saying, how can we get a variety of responses in our Zooms that we have here? So those are called the, what are they called again? Non-responsive, I think.
Nonverbal.
Nonverbal, thank you. Nonverbal responses, there we go. You have to toggle it on in your settings in Zoom, and then they'll turn on, and they're a part of the participation window. So you can't see them unless it's in the participation window. All right, so our hope is that you are in the course and you are clicking on your grade level unit and then maybe exploring and touching a few things. What we really wanted you to do as a student, however, was to go into activity number 1. Are we all doing 4th grade activity number 1, Carrie?
Yeah.
Okay.
So for every single lesson, we have created a session, and each session has just basic starters for that unit. Maybe there's a video there, maybe there's a prompt, and again, you can go in and edit any one of those pages. And also for every session, we created an activity, and an activity was something that we wanted students to do, right? Something that you want them to turn into you. For some of those, they are pictures of their writing or examples from their writing. So we're going to just have you do one of them so you can see what it looks like for a teacher when it's submitted to you.
Okay, so to give you instructions one more time, if I was at the home page, because we wanted everybody to do 4th, here's what we're going to do. We're going to go to the 4th grade button. You are going to be in the 4th grade writing homepage. And we just want you to go ahead and click on activity 1. Now, one thing you'll notice as a student, Carrie and I were very cognizant of the fact that students, just like us, are brand new to the Canvas environment and have never submitted an assignment before. So we gave them very clear step-by-step instructions to start with. As a student, and you are a student in our course right now, you're going to hit the Submit Assignment button. In the text box that is provided, go ahead and share 5 moments, ideas, story moments, ideas. It doesn't really matter. Just go ahead and number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then go ahead and click on Submit Assignment. Because we just want you to see what it feels like as a student to do these things. And then on our side, it's helpful because now we have some assignments so we can show you what the grading looks like. All right, Carrie, you ready for me to go into the assignments?
Ready.
Okay, so again, I'm a teacher, so I see a slightly different view than you see as a student right now, which actually it's a good idea for me to show you. We constantly go back and forth or toggle back and forth between a teacher view and a student view. And I'm sure Chris has shown you and Carrie has shown you this in the past, but when I hit settings for the class, anywhere I can find these little glasses that say student view, it then gives me this magenta outline around my whole screen, letting me know I'm in student view so that I can experience what it looks like from a student's perspective. This is incredibly helpful as you build because you can quickly decide or figure out if links aren't working or if it's putting kids in the wrong space, or if you haven't published something, it will tell you that too. And you can go through the process of actually submitting an assignment and noticing what it looks like. As you can see, the screen over here is quite different than what my screen looks like as a teacher. So we use this as we build things in Canvas often to see what it looks like from a student's perspective. And also to remember too, their screen is much smaller than our screen. And so keep that in mind that they're on those little tiny Chromebooks. Okay, so I'm leaving student view, I'm back as a teacher. So I'm seeing that I have 47 of you that have submitted something on this assignment. Now, the reason we're pushing kids to turn things into Canvas is to utilize this speed grader, which is the grading tool. So from a perspective of the secondary person, when I used to grade essays, it would take upwards of 22 extra hours to grade one essay when I had 180 students, right? And that's when I only had 5 minutes to time myself for each essay. But when I started using SpeedGrader, and more importantly, when I started using rubrics, which Carrie and I will build for you soon, that is on our to-do list, I cut my 22 hours worth of grading to 5 hours. Significant improvement. So when these things, you know, it takes time to build some of these things, but once they're in place, it is efficient overload for us on the other end, right? So when I'm in SpeedGrader, I can see your posts. I can easily add my grades. I can easily add comments, and I can easily add a voice recording or a video recording right from here. And then it's easy for me to toggle through each of the assignments. If you have a teacher iPad, you can also open up SpeedGrader on your teacher iPad and write with your stylus directly over the top of every single assignment that comes through. So that's huge too. If you feel like doing a text over here isn't helpful, then you can use your iPad with your stylus. You also could use your iPad with SpeedGrader and do text, speech to text, and that also can cut down on your time with grading. Okay, anything else to share here, Carrie or Chris?
No, I think that's fabulous. Just so you can see what it looks like when we get all the submissions, when you get all your submissions, you can watch all the videos, see all the text right there and see each of your students.
And additionally, you've got a drop-down menu so you can see all of the submissions that you haven't necessarily looked at yet, or the people that haven't turned anything in yet. And then you also, if someone submits multiple times, you can see every single submission. So you can see when they've changed things straight from this view.
Nicole, someone's asking if you can see work in progress or you need to wait till it's submitted.
Yeah, you need to wait till it's submitted. Yeah. So work in progress type things, if you needed to see live what they were working on, that might be something where you're in a Google Doc with them or something.
Excellent. Kyle is asking if students can share assignments with each other for feedback.
So yes, so we were kind of having conversations about peer review versus class discussions. I don't know, Carrie, if you want to speak to that at all?
Yeah, happily, yes, you certainly can. And that's one of the best parts about being in Canvas, I feel, versus Seesaw. Students, we can set up an assignment to be a discussion, and students can submit like an open forum to the whole class. They could submit their video, whatever, their image, and they can get feedback from every other student right there through discussions. We also learned a little bit ourselves that you can also request a peer review. So you can assign writing partners and have that specific writing partner assigned to look over their work, give that person feedback, not in a public forum necessarily, but just on that specific assignment. So we have already set up a few assignments for you with those things. So students can learn them and you can as well. So,
yeah, we were having a lot of conversations like, what is the benefit right now to having kids share where everyone can see it? And so is this a vulnerable conversation or is it not? Is it something that they would benefit from having lots of people respond? Or is it something that needs to be unique within their writing partner, right? So those are all the kinds of questions. Like when we're creating something, the first thing I think is, does the student benefit from getting feedback from their peers? And if the answer is yes, then I'm building a discussion thread. But if the answer is no, they just need feedback from me, the teacher, then the answer is an assignment or even maybe a quiz, right? So that's a part of the building process in Canvas, is asking those questions to ourselves. That's the intentional designing process for sure. So if it is a vulnerable response that you want them to have a peer review, then that would be the difference between that discussion thread for sure. Okay, other thoughts?
Really quickly, wanted to address, Molly asked if you could, if you had to give students the whole unit up front, and absolutely not. You can publish and unpublish pages as you're ready. So you have the whole unit in there ready to go, and you could just simply unpublish each lesson at a time and each activity when you want that to be accessible to students.
So I'm going to show you the module and show you how easy that is, if that's okay, Carrie.
Yeah.
So you have, I'm looking at the 5th grade module right now. So what you have at the top are some teacher resources, which we're going to go into in just a minute. These are all unpublished, which you can see right here. They do not have the green check mark next to them. So if I only wanted students to have access to a few items in Bend 1, for example, I would just go down here to Bend 2 and just uncheck what I didn't want them to see. And I do think being intentional about that is very helpful, because then students won't be overwhelmed if they do end up stumbling into this module section and seeing how many activities and things are there.
Can those be scheduled to open at a certain time, or is it just literally a click?
Chris, you want to answer that?
Sorry, I'm just like listening. So can assignments be scheduled, or can the modules be scheduled?
To be published at a certain time.
Yeah.
Yes, you can go ahead and publish things at a certain time. If you go to the modules, you can actually go ahead and decide when you want the module to be scheduled. The concern is, though, is if it's a module that has a lot of information for students to do, it's really not a good idea to publish the whole module at a certain time, because students are going to be probably all over the place in the module. But assignments can be published and be released at certain times.
Yeah.
Is it possible to set a prerequisite? Like you can't move to lesson 2 until you've submitted lesson 1?
Yeah, it is.
Yes, that's
100%
an advanced
possible.
move.
Yeah. I would say it's probably something that I would be very cautious of, because the reality is students will enter into learning at different points. And so if a student missed a few days, they can't enter into a learning if it's been blocked until they finish previous. So it's just a caution when you do that.
Okay, so in terms of showing how you can like assign it or when it's viewable, it's down here at the bottom of your activities. So it's not necessarily a page you publish or don't publish, but an assignment, a discussion, a quiz, you just go down here to the assignment section, and then you can say when you want them to see it. So when is it available from? They can see it from this date to this date. Okay.
Perfect.
Okay. All right, going back to our agenda. Okay, so is there anything else, Carrie, right off the top of your head, or questions that we need to answer before I show them how to link their writing button?
I say we go ahead and show them how to import it and link it to their own.
Oh, right, importing it. Right, yeah. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, so what we're gonna have you do is go into the Canvas Commons and import your specific grade level unit, your module. So you need to decide if you want to put this into your sandbox course, and hopefully people have heard sandbox before. That just means a place where you can play around, where students aren't enrolled and can't necessarily get in and see what you're doing. Or if you want to go ahead and dump it into or import it into your homeroom class. So kind of make that decision. And we are going to put, can I show, I'm sorry, I just saw, can you show that, the sandbox? Can you show the sandbox? Okay. So in the chat, we're going to go ahead and guide you into how to get to your grade level, but I'm also going to show you just live on the screen. So you have this Canvas Commons off to the side. So we did not want to just push out the unit to everybody because we didn't want to overwhelm you without you having an understanding of what the unit looked like. So it was not pushed out to you like your shell was. Instead, we've uploaded it to the Commons. So the Commons is a place like Seesaw Activities where people can share anything, a full course, a module, an assignment, whatever. So if you wanted to search for, I'm the one that shared it. So one of the easiest ways is to just go ahead and type my name and you'll be able to see anything that I have shared to the Commons. That's like one of the easiest. Otherwise, I think we tagged it with UOS. So I don't know if it'll show up if we type that. There's a lot more there. Let's do writing units of study and see if it shows up. Sorry guys, I might have to filter it. So you'll notice I'm just kind of going in and I'm going to tab 4th and 5th and see what shows up. These are all, there we go, there they are. So these are all different units that people have tagged or shared. So if you haven't explored the Commons, it's there. Don't forget that it's there. But this is how we're going to download it. So did we share into the chat those links? No. Okay. Okay, so here is 4th grade. Should work. Oops, I just sent that to Lucy. Apologize. Everyone needs that link. Here's 4th grade in the chat. And then here is 5th grade. Okay.
If you see over on the left of Nicole's screen, she has a little icon there to find the Commons. It's that little C with the arrow to the right if you need to navigate there.
Okay, so if I am in 4th grade, I am in the module. I'm going to go to the right-hand side and I'm going to say import or download. So I have a lot of classes. So yours will look slightly different than mine. But what you'll want to do is, and Chris, correct me if I'm wrong, is their sandbox labeled sandbox? It's like their name and then it says sandbox, right?
Yeah, it'll be labeled. It should be, if it's not showing up, then they may
I
need
have
to publish
no
it. But
idea.
typically you don't
Here we
need to.
go. It's my name.
Beautiful.
Nicole Carter's sandbox course. I make a couple of sandbox courses. I just make courses to play with, you guys. So that's one of the reasons I have so many. So you can find your name and you can install it into the sandbox course. Or if you say, no, I'm good, I'm going to send it into my homeroom course, you can do that. Just know that once you import, these courses are 38 pages potentially. So you'd have to go in and delete those things if you import it into the wrong place or whatever. So keep that in mind. So once you've selected your course, then you're just going to say import into course. And you'll have to give it a minute to get into your course. Same process for 5th grade. So just import to course.
Quick question while we're paused. I know Chris mentioned that we had, I think it was 6 different courses set up. When students open up their Canvas, Chris, will they be able to see all 6 of those courses?
No, that's the good news, is that, like I mentioned earlier this morning, if teachers only want to use their homeroom course and only publish that, the students will not see those other courses.
Okay, so they need to unpublish the other courses?
Yeah, if we have elementary teachers who want to use those other courses, publishing them will allow students to have access to those courses. And again, we don't want to spend a ton of time on that, but if it's something where you really want to know how to do that, we are going to be offering sessions for you to learn how to make those things work. So.
Okay, we have a question from Kristen real quick before we move on.
Okay.
So when we did that last assignment and we typed in that text box and then you showed us 8th grader and we can see the responses.
Yes.
Is there, like, in the past, if had done a lot where, like, I had the kids type in a Google Doc, so then when we confer, we could say, oh, we need to add a period here or a capital there, and we've actually changed their writing because it's a Google Doc and it has that. Or I could have 2 kids maybe working collaboratively on a story together and then still edit it as we go. Does that work if they're typing directly into Canvas, or if we want to do that level of collaboration or editing, do we have to, like, somehow do a Google Doc, and then I don't know how that gets into Canvas?
Okay, so Canvas integrates really well with Google products. So some of these, we made the decision to have it just be a text entry, but if you wanted it to be a Google Doc or whatever, you can make it that as well, right? So it just depends on what you want them to turn in. And I don't know, Chris, if you want to speak to that more. But you would just go in and you'd change the upload section or submission type so that they can get it.
And so if the ultimate goal is you want your students to be able to collaborate, they could open up a Google document on their own. They could share and add each other to a Google document if you wanted to. But then when they submit it to you, they can submit the live Google document to you in Canvas. And then just like Nicole showed you in SpeedGrader, you can actually see the student's live Google document in SpeedGrader. And when they give you permission to edit, you can comment right directly on that Google document, or you can comment in SpeedGrader like Nicole showed.
So you still get full faculties and use of Google Drive.
And then is that the same? Would that be the same thing we'd want to do if we want them to be able to, like, confer with us and edit their document during that conferring process rather than having them type in that text box?
Yeah.
Because once they type in that text box, that's kind of it.
Yeah, it's kind of like a frozen in time submission.
Okay.
So yes, you were more than able to go ahead and have a live document where you can actually see them working, and then you can comment on that live document.
Okay, for the sake of time, do we want to show how to link up that?
Yep. So on your main home page, you're going to go into edit, and then you're going to find your writing button. So you're going to say writing button. You're just going to select it. And then you go over to the right-hand side and hit pages. And this is where, when you start to see that you're going to have a ton of writing content, this is where we start to talk about why eventually you might need more than just your homeroom course, is because you'll start to get a ton of pages being built. And I just have to go down and find the writing homepage. And I would click that.
Nicole, can I ask a quick question? If people put it in their sandbox, do they already have this whole shell?
They do not.
Right? So they would need to put it, instead of putting it in their sandbox, they would need to add it to their actual.
Yes. So this is definitely a step where you're adding it to your real shell. So if you put it in your sandbox and you're deciding you're going to go through and make changes, make corrections, delete pages or assignments or activities that you don't necessarily want to use, then you would kind of go about a different process where you would import from your sandbox into your shell instead of doing it from the commons.
And the other thing too, like Nicole was saying, is it depends on your workflow, but Canvas has actually made a nice update where you can actually send anything from any course to another course in just a matter of 2 clicks. So it is easier to move content between courses too.
So
we show how to do that really quickly.
Yep.
Yeah.
So let's say I'm in my sandbox. I've gone and changed my unit here, this module. I've deleted things. I've updated things. I'm in my sandbox. So what I would do is I would go to the module, to the writing unit, and I would say, send to, am I right? Is it send to or is it copy to, Chris?
It's going to go send to would send to your friends, and copy to would would copy it and send it to a course.
Okay, thank you. So at that point, then I would select which course I wanted to push it to. So it would be your, I don't want to put it, I don't want to.
And I think
it's going to mess up our course. Sorry.
And I think what Nicole is really, the cool thing that I like what Nicole is sharing is it's potential that if you want to create like a planning course, like I know you have a sandbox, but if you wanted to say, hey, this is 4th grade planning course, my colleague and I are in the same course, we're working together, because you can add a colleague. That's the course that you can rearrange, decide how you want to make content available, and then easily copy that to your course for your students if you felt like that's the space you want to work, like a working space, and then sending it to a space where your students are engaging in it.
Yep. So then it's just copy and it sends to your course. Then once it's in your shell course, you do what I just showed you. Perfect. Go to your home page, select the writing button, and link it to that module.
Someone is asking, once a student has submitted, can they see their previous activity submissions?
Yes, they can. And I think that that needs to be a definite part of direct instruction in your live Zoom sessions. Okay, guys, today we're going to talk about how to go and see migrated responses to you. And then you show them how to find it. I had to give specific time to my students to show them how to find it. And I would say, okay, I'm going to set a timer for 5 minutes. Please read through or watch my responses to your entries. And then I would just let them do it right then and there. Because I was finding that they weren't looking for it. They weren't looking at my feedback. Okay, so someone's saying, what is the difference between a sandbox and a fake course or a planning course? So not much is different between a sandbox or a planning course. I mean, it's really, the sandbox or a planning course is a space for you to play around, to make and create things, to potentially invite colleagues to be a part of that course and build collaboratively with you. You're just building in a space where your students aren't there to see what you're doing. If you start publishing things, it will start to like pop up on their calendar, or they could go in and find it or see it. So creating a space where you're planning and creating and potentially messing up just means that you're in a space that students can't see it if you mess up or whatever.
Nicole, can you show how I would go about modifying one of the lessons? Like if I wanted the sessions, if I wanted to change it up?
In Canvas specifically?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you'd click on it, whatever you want to change, and hit edit. And the cool thing about being in Canvas, right, is that once you figure out the tools here in what they call their rich text editor, these buttons and these tools are the same no matter if you're in like a discussion thread or if you're in, you know, an assignment or a page. It's the same buttons, the same tools. So you would just go in and, you know, delete things, select it, delete. I mean, it's just like you're editing just like you would in anything else.
Perfect. Nicole, can you show how, if I wanted to add another teacher to this course, how I would go about doing that?
Yeah, why don't I go into another random course? So just so I'm not like messing stuff up. Okay, so sure, here's a sandbox course. Okay. So I would go over into people. Why am I not saying it? There we go. People. I go into people, and then I would hit the plus sign, plus people, and then I would go ahead and copy their email. So for instance, I have a cheat here because I use my teammates' emails all the time. So here's Carrie's email. And then I would come down here to roll. And if I wanted them to be a collaborative teacher with me, I'd just change it to teacher. And then I would say next. And then it identifies that that is in fact an email that will work. And I just say add users.
Perfect.
Now, if you wanted to create, there is the potential that if you wanted to create someone that is in your class as a student, so they can, you know, try something out, then that would be the difference between changing between teacher or student.
And I think a good strength to this, if you really want to go this route, like the reason why the planning, I call it a planning course or master course in Sandbox. The Sandbox, I don't let anybody in there. But by planning course, if Nicole and I and Kay were all teaching the same grade level, we could have one course where just the three of us are involved in. We can make things in that course, and then together we can pull course content out into the course that we actually teach. And so that would be an advantage to adding another teacher onto that course where we can work together.
So, you know, I'm wanting to point out, as you guys all turned in for that first assignment, I do see notifications popping up that I have things to grade. So that would lead me into that specific assignment. I'm trying to think of what else we wanted to make sure to share at this point. We need to show them maybe.
You linked it, right? That was the first thing you done that already, right?
Yeah, I showed them how to link.
Okay.
I'm going through. Okay, so other options. We do have recordings to help guide you through some of this. This week and still ahead, some options. We wanted to make sure you knew that there was plenty of space. And in fact, I have some friends in here with us right now. I just jumped on a quick Zoom call with them for 15 minutes because they had some questions about the shell. So contacting Carrie, contacting myself, contacting Chris, we're here to provide that support for you guys.
Hey, Nicole, do you mind going back to the course where you had everybody in this space go ahead and submit and then just show the speed grader and then show where they might find the feedback? Is that okay?
Sure. Walk me through. Where are students going?
So go to your.
Do I need to go into student view? You want me to go into student view?
You can. I was just going to say, yeah, that's totally fine too. It's just, yeah, go ahead. I was going to say, click on the assignment and see the speed grader. You've already shown that. So
I showed the speed grader. So
we show feedback.
Yeah. So then to do that, I need to be in student view.
Mm-hmm.
Can I even see anything in student view to see feedback?
You can submit it and then you can go ahead and see it. So you can go to that assignment that you had everybody participate in at the very beginning. And then you can submit your text response real quickly. And then, because Nicole had mentioned this is a really important part. How do I find feedback as a student is a bit challenging. And so I think that whoever asked that question was great. So
I love the confetti. Did everybody see the confetti?
So now what happens, you'll notice at the top where it says two things. One, a student can always resubmit it. Two, on the right-hand side where it says submission, there's evidence that a student submit. I know a problem last year where teachers were like, the students are just submitting blank pages. Well, I can't solve that, but I can at least say, here's evidence for a parent who's saying, my student says they submitted, and you're telling them that we did not. But here's the thing, go to where it says submission details. And so now, do you see right here where this is the feedback where they would receive? So if Nicole had given the student feedback after clicking on submission details, that student will find that feedback here. And Nicole mentioned, if you're actually using SpeedGrader, you can actually annotate and write on student papers, and they'll see that feedback in the space where it says test, 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 if this was in a submission.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Is it possible to color code?
Color code what?
Pages or assignments for different subjects.
Color code where? In the modules?
I suppose you could, like on maybe your homepage or something, not necessarily
Well,
when you're in a module.
You can't in the
In
modules.
the modules, the best that you can do is add an emoji button, like a blue dot or a red dot or a yellow dot, which we've seen a lot of elementary teachers do. That'd be that's the best I could go with color coding. Color coding a whole page would be probably not worth the time.
No. Yeah, so we have looking at the module here, just to kind of redirect you with what you're seeing. So these are just text headers to guide either us or the students if they were looking at the module. I personally do not recommend that we give direct instruction for students to go to the module to navigate. Because to me, this looks like a Google Drive folder. And I would never give instruction in the class necessarily to just go to Google Drive, figure it out. So I really do prefer to use pages, to use buttons, to use text description to help with navigation instead of this view. Yeah. But from a building perspective, when you're building content, you are building for the most part in modules, and you've got, you know, a text header. These are pages. So the icon that looks like this is a page. And then we indented things. So for instance, down here, you've got an indent level 1 for the session. And then we indented 2 times for the activity of that session. But this is a assignment. So that's the difference between a page and an assignment. Whereas these little speech bubbles are discussions. And our pre-assessment is a quiz. So this little rocket guy is a quiz. So you can kind of see from some of the icons what it is that's been built into the module itself.
And if I could make one suggestion, Nicole has already done it. You see where she has 1.6, 1.7. So go ahead, scroll to the very top, Nicole. So if I make a suggestion, my suggestion would be this. Everything that you want a student to physically do, I would either label it step 1 and the name of that, step 2, the name of that process, or like Nicole did, 1.1, 1.2. And the reason why is because then the students can clearly identify when they do come to modules, I know the process that I'm going in because they're sequential. And then if Nicole, can you just click on the jelly beans and click edit real fast? And then just on a Mac, it's just command space and control space and command on the Mac. And you can go ahead, and if you like doing emojis and you want a legend that kind of represents what you're doing, you can add it before the word blend, before the word title. You can add an emoji if you want to kind of come up with a legend to help your students as well.
I use this extension on my Chrome because that's easier for me. So so yeah, you could totally use you could use
I like that one.
It's my favorite. So you could use emojis.
Nicole,
yep.
Like when we use the emojis, I saw them show up on my calendar view, but as a student, I could never show them. It never showed the emoji on like the to-do list on the left-hand side. Is there a reason why? Because I thought about that, like, oh, if I color code like an event versus an assignment or a math assignment versus a writing assignment. And I was like, I couldn't figure it out. So then I tried emoji and I was like, oh, yay. But it only showed up when I clicked the calendar on the left-hand side. But when I was in like dashboard and you see the to-do list of assignments, none of the emojis appeared.
Oh, that's interesting.
I'm just wondering if the difference between on a to-do list or things, if it's an assignment or quiz where it's actual physical task with a due date, if the emoji was written in there, it should show up. But I would be interested in seeing it. So I don't want to take away Nicole's time, but it's something that I'd be interested in seeing.
Mm-hmm.
Nicole, can we quickly look at those beginning pages for teachers?
Yeah.
One of the things that Nicole and I set up for you are just some basics about this unit, right? So we gave a course overview so that you kind of knew. We even, Nicole made an awesome video kind of walking you through the unit that we set up, just so you had that on your own. And there's also another page there where it is the course, there we go, course considerations. Just kind of heads up for you. So like on activity 3, they would need to have writing partners established, because in the directions we say, please make sure that you check out your writing partner and give them feedback. So we're just gave you some heads up there. We have it being published in Book Creator, your final project in Book Creator. So if you're gonna do that or you're gonna change up that direction, a heads up there that your kids are going to need their Book Creator code in order to get that set up. So I wanted to make sure just that you had seen that we had put those considerations for you ahead of time. Again, the way we set it up, but if you chose to do it differently, totally no problem. And a number of people are hoping that we can see how to link to that homepage one more time so that they can see that we've already built that table of contents, that writing table of contents for both units for you.
Okay, so I have to preface this that I'm going to have to potentially duck out here pretty soon because I am leading another PD in 12 minutes. I would like to make another plug because we did say under teacher considerations, you need to make a decision if you're going to use the digital journal. And I will just say this, the digital journal that Carrie has put together is really fabulous. So the students would make a copy, have their own individual copy, but it does walk them through and give them spaces to guide through every single session that you are doing. You guys, this was a massive amount of work. And I think if I were in your place, I would probably use this digital journal. But if you decide not to use the digital journal, we have made allowances for that in building each of the sessions. So if you aren't using a digital journal, a student should potentially get the information they need from your live Zoom session, but then they also have access to each session, not the activity, but the session information would be what is copied from that digital journal. So if you are using the digital journal, it could be a little bit redundant for the kids, but I think that that's okay in the long run. Just heads up. Okay.
We're getting, as you're getting ready to show how you link that again, we're getting questions about future units. That makes me want to go climb in a hole right now, but I'm not actually the ELA TOSA anymore, and I'm not sure. That would be an excellent Kayla question. I don't know her game plan moving forward. At one point it was, we will give you unit 1 and then you're on your own for unit 2. I do not know what the other content TOSAs are doing. I don't know if Kayla's plan has changed, so I'm not sure. We were tasked with preparing unit 1 for writing, and that's what we took on.
And we can definitely help plan and help you learn how to create this for sure.
Yeah, but I will say this, Carrie and I worked to develop the template for 4th grade first. And then do you know what we did? We copied the entire module and then pasted out the stuff for 5th grade. So you potentially have a module ready to go already, and you can just, you know, copy and paste out information. But that's exactly how we built 5th grade. We built 4th first, then we copied and pasted for 5th. So some thoughts there. Now we're running out of time, but we do want to make sure that we mention that we gave you access to, and this is both in your shell. Is it in the shell? Maybe it's not. Maybe it's just here, but you have access to these Google Slides where we built all of your banners, your dividers, your buttons, and even the Canvas student directions. So the Canvas student directions one is pretty messy, I'm not gonna lie, because we were just in here messing around as we were building this last weekend, but it's a good indicator to you on how we kind of built some of these things. We just put them in a slide deck and then we screenshot it. And then I make sure to change the name so it's not screenshot 2020 1014 whatever. I actually name it instead of screenshot, and then I upload it as my image into the Canvas course. But instead of downloading as a JPEG, just take a good old-fashioned screenshot and you upload that straight away. But you have access to all of these. Now you might be currently view only, so what you do is just make a copy. Go to make copy entire presentation, and then you have your own version where you can edit and change to your heart's content. Just know that if you do end up going in and replacing any of these buttons, you will then have to relink them.
Nicole, okay. Can you show how you access that again?
So if I am in the modules, this is an unpublished page that is just for teacher resources. And it's actually this one, the teacher resource section. And that's here. Okay, and then the last little piece, we also gave you kind of like a teacher checklist. This is definitely added to your shell. So this is kind of talking in terms of like your weekly checklist and how to do your calendar and that sort of thing. So Daniel, that's all teacher resources.
Perfect. Daniel asked where you got that digital journal. It is attached to the writing unit planner. Which I don't think is linked here, but that should be attached to integration document and
Oops, sorry, Carrie, I muted you. Unmute yourself.
No worries.
Sorry, we were getting feedback, so I muted everybody.
Well, that's okay. It's attached to the integration document in a number of different places. So unfortunately, we need to run, but we hope this was super helpful to you. Hop in there, publish, unpublish, change things up to meet your needs. I think by messing around in there, that's how I learned how to do a number of the different things. So hopefully that took weight off of your plate and didn't add to your plate too much. But if you like this shell could be done for reading or math or, you know, in November. If you like this, great, copy it and change it up. Make it writing, it is writing, make it reading.
Yeah. Okay, I have to jump on my other PD.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.